Earth is full of life. It's everywhere you look.
Right here, in just a few steps, I am surrounded by so much life. I mean, there's trees, there's flowers, and all this rain will be bringing up a bunch of wiggly worms too. But no matter how much life we find down here, we still really want to know, is there life out there?
Recently, much of our search for alien life has been focused on distant stars, looking for planets like our own. But what if life isn't light years away, but much closer to home?
Towards the end of last year, a stunning little paper was published suggesting that strange markings on Mars could be signs of past life. In fact, some people think this is the strongest evidence yet that life once existed somewhere else in the universe. Which begs the question, if there was once life on Mars, could there still be life somewhere else in the solar system? I mean, are the aliens right next door? Well, tonight, we're going to find out. Welcome to the Sky at Night.
Surely, if there was advanced life on Mars or Venus, we'd have seen little green men waving at us by now, right?
But what if a form of life did exist nearby? Images sent back by the Perseverance rover of mysterious leopard spot markings on the rocks of Mars seem to suggest that there was once life on the red planet. But to be sure, we need to understand more about them, and we can't yet go to Mars to investigate, so what we can do is piece together clues right here on Earth. And Chris is in Scotland to find out more.
The southeast coast of Scotland is incredible. And not just for its stunning scenery. These ancient rocks tell a story of a different time, a time before the dinosaurs roamed the Earth, a time before the continents had split into the land masses that we know today, a time when there were plants and plenty of more basic forms of life too. And these rocks and the secrets they hold within themselves might give us the clues we need to discover alien life. Claire Cousins scours this coast, looking for ancient markings that might just resemble similar features on Mars. So tell us about where we're sitting now. What was this like in the past?
So this is an amazing site. So this is about 340 million years old, the time period called the Carboniferous here on Earth.
Got my kids' book in my head, like swampy,
yes,
right?
Swampy, yeah. So the Carboniferous, it's so called because this was sort of the swampy Earth, right? This is why we have lots of carbon-rich coal seams and things like this laid down in this time period, because it was just extremely productive biologically. Sort of forests all across the planet. So it would have been very warm, and where we would have been sitting, this would have been a very shallow lagoon. And there was also a lot of volcanism. And in this lagoon, we had the input of different sort of muddy sediment, but also volcanic ash as well. And it's all kind of layering up in this shallow lagoon.
So that's this red stuff down here.
This is what we can see here.
And we're here on these particular rocks because of these spots. So what are they?
So these are what we call reduction spots. And we see these in lots of these red beds, as we call them. You can probably see why, because they're these red sedimentary rocks. And we see these sort of spotty features kind of littered all across the surface. And we can see this going all the way across this whole outcrop here, down towards the sea.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. But the reason we're here in particular is because of a discovery that was made on Mars in images taken by the Perseverance rover.
Yeah. Well, just last year it was sort of formally published, and it was this sort of huge discovery of these really unusual features, which are very similar to the ones that we're looking at here. So I've got a photo to show you.
Okay, so this is Mars,
this
not
is on
North.
Mars, yes.
It does look a bit like
This
North
is Mars.
Berwick.
It does. I mean, the rocks are sort of actually very similar. You know, I mean, these sort of beige-coloured rocks, these are mudstones, you know, so similar to what we're standing on right now. But you can see, hopefully, we've got these, I call them leopard spots, and you can kind of see why. So
Which is a nickname from the team,
Which is a nickname.
right?
It's
But
not a geological term,
you sort of
but
see
it
how they
works
came
very
up with
well.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of things in geology are very descriptive. So this was really exciting because, firstly, this was the first time something like this had been found on Mars, but also they're very similar to what we call reduction spots here on Earth. So you can see that beautiful spherical deposits all across here. And this is the sort of closest analogue we have for these features that we
really
see on Mars.
it on this rock here,
Yeah,
actually.
you can see how similar they are to these. And what these really are is sort of chemical redox front. It's basically getting the rusty iron present in that sediment. And it's just turning it into a slightly different form of iron.
And so what happened in this ancient lagoon that produced these spots? What's the thing that kicks off this process?
Well, that's a great question because we actually don't know. And that's why sort of studying these now has become really important, because now we find them on Mars. We've always assumed when we see these features on Earth, it's biology. You can see in some of these that we have these very dark sort of cores to these spots. And this is full of kind of organic matter.
The Perseverance rover captured this image of what seems to be leopard spots as it travelled across rocks in Mars's Jezero crater. Just like our beach in Scotland, this Martian landscape was once a lake bed. And if bacteria created these patterns on Earth, could this be proof that there was once life on Mars? So having seen these leopard spots on Mars, is that it? Have we found life?
Sadly not. It'd be nice if it was that easy. These reduction spots have been known about for years and years. You know, they've always been a nice kind of geological curiosity, but it's always just been assumed that they've been formed by biology. Because why not? You know, we're on Earth, life is everywhere. You know, we see this concentration of organic matter in the center of these reduction spots. So it's a very obvious thing to think, well, life has just clearly played a role in making this. It's not a
We've
unusual
never thought
thing.
to question it,
We've never needed to question that. But of course, you find them on Mars, and then all of a sudden that question becomes extremely real. And so now it's a case of understanding how they form.
If we can show life created these markings on Earth, then we're a step closer to proving there was once life on Mars. Up the road in Edinburgh, there are exciting new results from a team trying to do just that. Recreate those Martian leopard spots using bacterial life. Astrobiologist Sean McMahon supervised the research and could show me how it was done. So let's talk about what's in the lab. Where should we start?
We could start with these. These are Winogradski columns.
Seems like a grand name for something that looks simple.
Yeah, it's a piece of Tupperware with some cling film on the top.
Okay.
And inside there you have some pond mud, some tap water. There's some scrunched up tissue paper. You could use newspaper as a source of carbon. We've put some sulfur in here. You could use eggs for that. And it's been in a blender to make a sort of disgusting slurry. So you want to put cling film or something over the top.
And then the old elastic band.
And then the traditional elastic band.
There you go.
Leave it on a shelf or a window ledge for some months, and the bacterial community that's naturally present in the mud will produce this array of colours that you see here.
It's actually rather pretty, your pet bacteria here, and so people could make these columns at home.
Yeah, if they, wear gloves and don't drink the stuff, it's an easy experiment to do. And just when you put them in this setting, they organise themselves according to the different kinds of metabolism.
That's what these coloured stripes are.
So the green at the top, those are blue-green algae cyanobacteria making oxygen, and then these yellow and purple layers. And what we were interested in are the bacteria that make these black layers. So they're producing a black substance that contains iron and sulfur. And we knew that the bacteria that do that are the ones that we wanted for our experiment on making spots.
So we've got our bacteria, and then what are you adding them to?
So we're adding the bacteria to a very simple mixture of just some quartz sand and some rust, basically, an iron oxide mineral, and a little water.
So it's basically your model for early Mars.
Early Mars, or the kinds of sediments that turn into the rock that we find these spots in on Earth today.
Right, and what do you find?
So what we find is, if you wait weeks and months, you make one of these.
You've got a spot.
Yeah, so what's happened is that a bacterial colony has grown there, and as it's grown, it's been dissolving and using that red iron rust from the surroundings, and just leaving a bleached spot behind where all you're seeing is the sand.
Were you surprised that it worked?
We were very surprised that it worked. In fact, we didn't think it had worked until my student had the idea of picking up the dish and looking at the bottom. Initially, we thought we would see bleaching on the top, which this one did eventually, but most of them didn't.
I love that. Sometimes it's the simple things.
Exactly.
So it's rather wonderful that this is a simple experiment, but it's actually an old idea that you're testing.
It's been around in the scientific literature since 1929, the idea that these might have a microbial origin. But nobody had tested it. So we just wanted to do the simple thing of checking before we get carried away, is this actually something that bacteria can do? And we've done that now. So the next question is it also something that can happen without bacteria? There's no reason why people would have been doing these experiments before they found these things on Mars. And now we're going to have to do some hard thinking about what are the non-biological ways that you can remove iron from a small spot in a sediment with rust in it. So that work is just beginning.
While scientists work on testing whether these markings could form without life, Perseverance continues its mission. There were more results just last week. And so Mars is never far from the news.
But 6 years ago, Venus, our planetary neighbour on the other side, was making headlines around the world with the possibility that aliens may be living next door. So, what have we learned since?
Venus is a hellhole, with temperatures of about 450 degrees Celsius and an atmosphere 93 times heavier than Earth's. It's not where we'd expect to find life. But several miles above the surface, temperatures are cooler and pressures are a bit less crushing. So could there be a strange new life form in the clouds of Venus? Well, back in 2020, scientists here at Cardiff University detected phosphine, a gas that, on Earth at least, is strongly linked to life. In fact, it was such a strong signature of life at the time that we dedicated an entire programme to it.
I can't believe I get to say that to camera, but the team think they found what could be the signs of life on Venus.
It's the most exciting scientific discovery I've been involved in because it is so inexplicable.
This is the closest we have ever come, and possibly will come for quite some time, to finding life elsewhere.
It's a lifetime-changing moment for me to have participated in something so exciting. The whole process has just been total excitement, but yeah, the implications are a little bit overwhelming.
Almost immediately, other scientists challenged the result, suggesting it might not be phosphine at all. But research is ongoing, and the question of whether a strange new life form exists in the atmosphere of Venus remains wide open.
Jane Greaves led the original research and has continued to work to try and get a better understanding of what's going on.
So the initial discovery was so exciting, but there was a fair bit of pushback early on. So what were the main concerns people had?
Well, there were two things. One thing was people thought we'd got completely the wrong molecule, and the absorption we saw was actually from sulfur dioxide, which is really common. And the other one was they just thought we must have done the data processing wrong. And we did find some niggles that we refined there, and we genuinely had community help from experts on that.
Beautiful. And I guess now it's been, 6 years since the initial discovery. So where are we now? Do we have more confidence in phosphine being there?
I think we definitely do, because we originally had 8 hours on the James Clerk Maxwell telescope to get the discovery data, and they've been really generous, and they gave us 200 hours for like a legacy science project. But we've done 6 or 7 independent sets of observations of phosphine, and I think it's there in all of them. So we're really confident. And we could start to move on to things like, does it vary at different times?
Oh, amazing. So, OK, so we're solid on phosphine is there. Does it change over time? What have you learnt about kind of its behaviour?
Well, what we're trying to dig into, my personal obsession, is the idea that if it's made by microbes in the clouds, you'd think maybe they wake up as sunlight dawns for them and they do their biological productivity thing, and maybe the phosphine is like a waste product. And so you'd expect a sort of boost in phosphine in this hypothesis in the morning, and then it gets eaten away by the sun as the day on Venus goes on, and so you'd see less of it in the evening. So that's the trend we're looking for. I think we've got it, but not quite ready to announce that yet.
Yeah, so I guess phosphine, one of the things about it is it's highly susceptible to sunlight and breaks down. Yeah, so you're looking for that cycling of phosphine that could be evidence of life. What, do you have anything that you can show us?
Yes, I do, on this laptop here. OK, so this is actually a radar image of Venus in the background, and we've divided it up into different areas and plotted the phosphine spectra over the top. You could see on this bit where we shaded dark, because it was in darkness, there's no phosphine. OK, so maybe that's interesting from the point of view of that if the microbes are there, they're asleep at night. And then we also divided it on the sunlit side into north and south, and we've got an amazingly good phosphine detection in the north, but not in the south, and that's really intriguing. One of my colleagues has suggested, more excitingly, that the north and the south hemispheres are separated by global circulation patterns. So maybe there was an active colony of microbes in the north and not one in the south. So he thinks it would actually be a better test of the life hypothesis that we see it really strongly only in that one place.
That's really stunning. And I guess, so this dip here in the spectrum, that is the phosphine detection?
That's the phosphine, and that's a really clear one, yes. And you can see from these two other spectra, it's just kind of going...
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing there.
So I guess we've got this behaviour then that could be indicative of life, but this is just one marker. What other evidence do we have that supports the life hypothesis?
Yeah, so we're looking for other molecules that we know can be produced by microbes, and we think we've got an ammonia detection as well, so that'll hopefully be a paper submitted soon. Ammonia has a more obvious biological role on Venus because it's kind of something you can add to acid and make the environment less acid, which might be good for these hypothetical microbes. And the other one we just found out we got telescope time for is our project to search for methanol, which is also a product of some kind of microbes. Though the joke there is people will claim we've discovered breweries on Venus if we find it, because it's also a byproduct of the microbes involved in the beer brewing process.
There's still a lot of work to be done to build a definitive case for life, but with more telescope time and new missions planned, the case may be growing for life amongst the clouds of Venus.
This is so cool. And I guess, isn't it brilliant that because of your work, this renewed interest in Venus is happening?
Yeah, it really takes me by surprise. I'd never expect to have this much impact on anything. And I love doing this stuff with telescopes. But what would be amazing is if in the future we could actually send something that would capture a few of these floating droplets and then take a picture and see if there are the microbes inside, like waving back at you.
That would be the real smoking gun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I do hope one day we may get definitive proof and find what Jane and her team first published back in 2020 was indeed the first evidence of aliens next door. But in the meantime, some scientists are looking out, away from the sun, to the cold, distant moons of gas giants. Worlds like Jupiter's Europa and Ganymede hide vast oceans of liquid water beneath the thick, icy crusts. And further out, Saturn's frozen moon Enceladus reveals one of the most incredible phenomena of our solar system. Icy volcanic eruptions push water from its subsurface ocean through its ice-covered surface to create plumes that can stretch out as far as 6,000 miles, offering a tantalizing insight into what lies beneath the frozen crust of Enceladus.
Earlier this century, NASA's Cassini mission passed through those plumes, and although it wasn't looking for life, it did confirm the presence of water. But it also found organic molecules, as well as chemical evidence for reactions that release energy. As a result, the icy moons have become one of the prime targets for finding life within our solar system.
3, 2, 1, top.
2 new missions are currently travelling through space, headed for Jupiter, the largest planet and just 2 doors down, where between them, they will study its icy moons Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. In preparation of their arrival and the data they will send back, Mark Fox Powell is in the Icy Worlds lab at the Open University, trying to help identify where to focus our search for life. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Lovely to meet you.
And you, welcome.
So now, you're doing experiments here in the lab. The conditions are very, very different.
That's right.
From these icy worlds. So what can you discover here?
Yes, well, you might notice that we're not on an icy world here.
Actually, no, it's not Colton Hilltop, which I'm glad.
Yes. But there's a number of things that we can do. And so a lot of our focus has recently been on the extreme low temperatures.
So how low are we talking?
So actually, very usefully, liquid nitrogen temperature is a useful approximation for the surface of Europa. It's about minus 190 degrees.
Okay. So nippy.
A little bit chilly, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's in this liquid nitrogen environment that project lead Rachel Hamp and the team carried out the experiment.
So we're working with water. We're also working with sodium chloride.
Sort of thing I put on my chips.
Exactly. Everyone's got it in their kitchen.
Yes.
We always add it to our food and things like this. But it's the most common salt on Earth.
Yes.
And it's also found across the solar system. Wherever you have water and rock interacting, you usually get sodium and chloride. So the ocean of Enceladus, the ocean of Europa, very likely is rich in sodium and chloride.
By dripping concentrated brine into liquid nitrogen, a flash freezing of the droplets occurs, recreating the very, very fast cooling process that would happen when liquid from within Europa's icy crust is jetted into the cold environment of space. In just a few seconds, icy grains form, and contained within them are some exciting new discoveries.
And so what are you finding?
One of the things that we've discovered is a new mineral.
Right.
It forms only during specific processes like rapid freezing.
So seeing a new mineral, it sounds quite exciting.
Yes, it's really exciting, actually. It's something that we didn't directly expect to find. We thought we knew everything about sodium chloride.
Yes.
So that was a surprise.
The frozen samples are stored and then analysed, and the difference in the new mineral is seen by comparing it to a salt that is formed in sea ice here on Earth.
So yeah, what are we seeing here?
Actually, this blue line here, is our new mineral.
Okay.
And you can probably see that, particularly in this area here, this region, it's quite different to this green line.
Yeah.
The only difference between these two samples, they are chemically identical.
Right.
The only difference is the rate at which they were frozen.
Ah, I see. So that the rate at which they're frozen affects their crystalline structure.
Exactly.
So I'm fascinated by this because you're saying what caused the green line and the blue line are molecularly identical.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of sort of carbon and graphite and diamond.
Yes.
This is an element now.
So that's a perfect example because they would be, on an elemental level, the same. It's just carbon. They're different minerals and they behave very differently. So you think about using graphite in a pencil, and the diamond is famously very, very hard.
And it's these structural differences to the sodium chloride crystals that the current missions will be able to detect. Could that get us one step closer to finding life on an icy moon?
Well, if we discover the new mineral at, say, Europa, it's a really good indication when we see it at the surface that at some point in the past, ocean water has made it to the surface.
By identifying where water from the hidden oceans has reached the surface, we can pinpoint the best places to look for other signs that life could exist in the oceans below. Or perhaps even discover evidence of life itself.
We think that these are maybe some of the best locations to go to search for evidence of life or of habitable conditions in the subsurface.
So when we do the scan of the moon, these are the places that are the hotspots where life might be.
Exactly, the hotspots, that's a great way of thinking about it, yes.
In terms of what happens below, do you believe there is life on these moons? $1 million question.
The big question, yes. Well, I have to be agnostic. You know, it's my job as a kind of astrobiologist and as a scientist to kind of await further evidence. But I would say, if we go to these moons and we find life, obviously, I mean, that is a huge discovery. It will show us that life is probably common if it's happened more than once in our solar system.
Yes.
But if we don't find life, or if we can be confident that there's no life there, I still think that's a really profound and interesting finding, because it tells us that there's something unique about the Earth, something special about the Earth that we have not yet understood.
It is this question, Is our home planet really a one-off that makes us look up in awe and wonder about all the other stars in the sky? And Pete's on hand to remind us just how many stars there are out there.
Our sun is a single star out of maybe 200 to 300 billion stars which make up our Milky Way galaxy. When you look up at the night sky and see stars individually with the naked eye, these are all local to us. But the remaining billions and billions of stars which make up our galaxy are too far away to be seen individually. So their light merges together to form the misty path which we know as the Milky Way.
Looking at stunning images like these of the Milky Way flowing across the sky, it's not hard to see where this name comes from. The integrated light of these distant stars appearing like hazy, milky clouds. And the next few months are a great time to start looking out for it.
The Milky Way is hard to see in the lighter evenings of summer, but this does create good conditions for finding the brighter constellations. And if you get to identify these, then you'll be well set for finding the Milky Way when the skies get darker.
The one to start with is the Summer Triangle, made up of 3 stars: Vega, Deneb and Altair. It sits high above the southern horizon at 1 AM BST in mid-July. It's then in the same position an hour earlier for every 15 days that pass. So midnight BST at the start of August, 11 PM BST mid-August, and so on. You can also use Deneb in the top left of the triangle to locate the Northern Cross, which extends below it.
When you get used to finding these stars, then as the skies get darker, as we head into August, you can start looking for the Milky Way. Ideally, you do need to find somewhere with a dark sky location.
From the UK, the Milky Way will flow through the Summer Triangle and down the upright of the Northern Cross. The brightest portion appearing along the cross is fairly wide and appears to split in 2. This is due to a large dark dust lane which blocks some of our galaxy's more distant light and is called the Cygnus Rift. If you continue down past Altair, the southern star of the Summer Triangle, through the constellation Aquila, you get to a small constellation called Scutum the Shield. Here the Milky Way becomes quite bright due to the Scutum star cloud. It's stunning to see and equally compelling to photograph, and a beautiful reminder we're just one small part of a vast galaxy.
You never know, as we're looking up at those billions of suns, there may be another living organism out there amongst the stars, looking up at their night sky, wondering if someone's looking back at them.
Perhaps some of the images recently sent into our Flickr page reveal the worlds they call home.
It feels like we're edging closer and closer to finding definitive proof that extraterrestrial life exists. And, you know, it might not meet our sci-fi expectations. I mean, we're probably not having interplanetary dinner parties anytime soon. But while our hopes might be a bit far-fetched, the reality is that finding proof of life in the solar system, past or current, would be absolutely thrilling. And it would also help us to identify life on much more distant worlds beyond the solar system. So with that in mind, I will keep looking up to see who else is out there. Good night.